welcome, everyone. I'm glad everyone's here and that we all fit in the room, because sometimes that's a problem. If I don't know you, I'm Emily. I'm on the board of APRA, along with Cosimo and Keenan. And APRA, if you don't know, is the Amsterdam Psychedelic Research Association. And we're a nonprofit, volunteer-run organization, basically looking to share psychedelic research in all fields and to build community with people also passionate about psychedelic studies. So I guess if you're interested in hearing more about what we do, feel free to visit our website or our social media, or to just come up to one of us after the talk, and we're happy to tell you more. So for this evening, I'm very excited to introduce our speaker, Zeus Tipado, who is a PhD candidate in neuropsychopharmacology at Maastricht University, doing research on the brain under the influence of DMT, and also while inside VR. And I think this combination of things is just really fascinating. So if you're not familiar with his work, you should definitely check it out, and I'm sure you'll want to after tonight. I first came across Zeus's work at ICPR last summer in Harlem, and I thought it was just a great presentation, and since then I've just been hoping to arrange to have him speak for APRA, so I'm really excited we're able to make it happen today. So thank you so much again, Zeus, and I'll give the floor to you.
Good afternoon. Emily, Yes, guys, so I am Zeus Tipado, and I research out of Maastricht University. These are some people that I research with. We have Kim Kuipers, the founder of MDMA Research over here. Legend, we have Aline, who does LSD research. We have Emily right here that does creative research. So we all have some special occasions. Two CB researchers, Pablo and right there in the center. So yeah, we all have some really cool research lines to look into, and it's a really fun place to be. It is down south, so come by for a visit. Maybe we could hang out and party. And my research is on DMT and the brain, the effects of DMT on the visual cortex while people are tripping inside VR. And what are we showing people inside VR? Well, I can't really tell you, actually, but it isn't what a person would actually expect. It's a little bit different than what you would think. But currently we're getting some really interesting things. We're finding some really bizarre things, actually. So we have to do a lot of testing and retesting to see if these things are even, accurate, or if they're just artifacts. They could be artifacts, but I think we have something nice. And this nice computer. And also, I'm running an experiment right now, and anyone that has attempted DMT and had a visual trip, if you had a visual trip while on DMT, please take a picture of this QR code. You've done DMT before, that's good. And you have too, great. And oh, wow, okay, interesting. Or you could go to this website and take the test yourself. We're looking at the very interesting visual experiences of DMT. They're quite interesting, unique, and specialized to the DMT trip, as anyone that has tried DMT can totally understand how it isn't like LSD or any other substance you've ever tried. And actually, guys, this brings me to my next point, DMT and this red laser experiment. Has anyone heard of this? The red laser experiment? Yeah, a few people have. Interesting. Yeah. So over the summer, maybe it was maybe the fall, probably. Someone sent me this video, and they're like, "Zeus, look at this. Look at this." I'm like, "Okay, what is this?" Open it up, look at it, and it's just this really interestingly cut video where you have sounds behind it and these like cuts and these edits, and it's like, and I'm like, who did this? This is like a freaking professional commercial, professional like trailer. So I looked at it, and on this video, they make some wild claims. And I was like, okay, let me just watch this whole thing. And at the end, I was like, you know what? First off, this is BS, number one. Number two, it's just people tripping on DMT, and they're just saying stuff and saying they're believing something that is actually true when it isn't. Of course, while you're tripping on something, you believe things so greatly. But when you're out of the trip, you're like, yeah, that was pretty cool. But of course, I was tripping on something and isn't really accurate. But if you haven't seen this video, then we're all going to see it right now, called The Discovery. Let's check this thing out.
I remember things very vividly from a very young age. When I was a little kid, I actually spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My grandfather was a nuclear physicist. I remember he was telling me about black holes. And that terrified me. I was like, that's just mind-boggling. It's a monster, right? But at the same time, it fascinated me. And I said to myself, how do we know that? This unthinkably massive thing. I realized that nature doesn't keep secrets. It's only a matter of, do we understand? What tools can we use to expand our knowledge? And for me, dimethyltryptamine, also known as DMT, was the tool that led me to the discovery.
When I first saw the phenomenon, I was like, holy shit!
But then it was actually like, whoa, what is happening?
Am I losing my mind? But then I showed other people, and things kept getting weirder.
Just for the record, I haven't told him anything. Okay, just tell me what you see.
Oh my God, come on.
Wow, what the fuck? Holy shit. I just saw something. Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, I've seen that. I feel it.
I've been under the influence of mind-altering substances a lot, but I've never seen anything like that. Whoa.
I showed over 100 people, and I kept asking myself, how are all of us seeing the same thing?
Oh my God, it's changing shapes right there.
The laser was revealing numbers and letters running in a pattern.
It's like this big here, and it looks like code.
It looked like programming code.
It's definitely saying something, Ken. I just want to take a picture of it and translate it. Wow.
You see that?
Okay, so yeah, it's not stuck.
No.
It's not because of the light.
No, it's on its own side. The light is just literally revealing it.
And each angle shows you different layers, different ways through it.
I can see through the wall. It's not like a hallucination. It has spatial awareness and permanence. I don't know. Whoa.
For centuries, mankind has attempted to explore these psychedelic, altered states, but we've never had a repeatable, testable phenomenon to observe until now.
Wow. I'm obsessed. It's like you can see through the laser into another dimension.
I mean, like, take yourself to that. Like, I just made a connection that nobody made before, which is a simple connection. The claim is, if you project a diffracted laser on the surface, and you smoke DMT, you will see code running in surfaces. Yes, like in the Matrix.
So there are a few possibilities. One,
I lost my mind, which is the coolest losing your mind ever in history.
the second option is that
This is the biggest discovery of humankind. If anybody ever asked themselves what it would be like to know you live in the Matrix for sure, well, I know for sure. I'm convinced.
so where do we go from here? All I know is
It's about to get crazy.
The discovery. Wow, that's pretty intense, right? I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, what the heck? So let me just get a show of hands. How many of you people think that they could be onto something?
Wait, come again?
Like, do you think that they could be onto something? Like, it's a possibility that there's something there? Yes? Yes? A couple? Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think the first question is, like, to ask how many of us have taken a voyage?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's like very, it's creditive that if you take a voyage
Yeah.
and take a laser
Yeah.
and try it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very personal question. Did you?
Well, you'll find out. Find out. So, okay, how many people think that they're unsure about it? Okay, a couple people. You could also be okay. That's good. That's good. Okay, and how many people think that it is absolute BS? Okay, dude. Okay, perhaps that's not absolute. That's maybe BS, but still, I take that. Okay, so there's one person who believes it's absolute BS. So I'm going to say that it is absolute BS, but I can't just say that, and I have to tell you guys how it is, how it's BS, and I'm going to tell you guys what could be happening, some theories that could be happening to make this phenomena actually happen. So, this is the DMT chemical, and this is just a brief breakdown, guys. This is I know you guys understand psychedelics. I'm just going to go over a very brief breakdown. DMT is at the top. It is in the same class as shrooms, not the same class as LSD and MDMA, or any other substance out there. There are some substances that it's close to, but it's not ones that you've probably heard of. Like DIPT is also very closely related to DMT, which I've also tried before. DIPT is the only auditory trip that you can actually have. So there aren't any visuals, just you hear weird sounds for 8 hours. And it's probably the most unique trip I've ever had. It is the most interesting trip I've ever had in my entire life. And it's very, very rare. But I did get some for Christmas from a gift from a fantastic chemist, and I appreciate that person. But I don't have any here, so don't ask me for it. But you can come down south and we can hang out. Maastricht. So DMT, guys, it has an affinity for the 5-HT2A receptor. This is a receptor that's in the brain, and receptors, if you don't know what these are, they're kind of like locks on the brain that are attached to areas of the brain. And when you take a substance like DMT, MDMA, those substances act like keys to open up those locks that are in the brain that have a 5-HT2A receptor. And when those locks are open, the brain, that part of the brain, activates and things happen. As far as what actually happens, science really hasn't discovered it fully. We'll definitely probably get there, but not right now. But we do see that these receptors are activated greatly when a person trips. And why these receptors? Well, we found that whenever we block these receptors, it just ends. Trip ends like that. So we believe that these receptors are responsible for those trippy aspects. And DMT attaches to that. It has a very high affinity for 5-HT2A. And also, this is a really bizarre one. So most psychedelics have this receptor affinity, like almost all of them. But for some reason, DMT also has a sigma 1 receptor activation. Agonism is what it's actually called. And this is a very bizarre receptor because this is the only substance that actually has this activation. And what this thing does, I'll get to it a little bit later if we actually have time to talk about it. But this is a very interesting receptor, and I think this one could be responsible for a lot of the DMT's unique experiences. But like, what is a DMT trip? You always like hear about it, you hear different things. Let me just show you guys a picture of my former roommate on DMT. Yes, that's Kaveen. That was his birthday. And that's him in a different reality, universe. And so what is this person seeing? Well, a lot of people that do DMT, they see it, first off, it hits instantly. Like you can be hitting DMT and already trip within like seconds. And it's fast. And the quickness of it is very overwhelming for some people because your entire visual field just essentially gets replaced. It gets replaced, and it gets replaced with the most bizarre imagery you could possibly imagine. Imagery that you don't even expect to see. It's not just like enhanced colors and like wavy lines. Now you have like entire circus-themed activities, and things are talking to you and jumping around, and things are falling down, and you see infinity, and it looks like a circus, and then you're trying to understand what's happening. You aren't really afraid because it's too bizarre to be afraid. You're like, what is this? You're like, what the heck is this? You're looking around, you're just like, what the heck? And then it's like over like that. And you're like, what the heck was that? It's a very quick, it's quick. It's about like 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the dosage. And then it's like, and then it's over, it's done. You could drive home, you can walk home, and you'll spend your entire life trying to understand what you saw, basically, if it's a good trip. But not really fearful stuff. It's really intense and bizarre. But what's actually happening in the brain when this happens? Well, I'll break it down very briefly, guys. I know that we're not trying to get too technical, but once again, all these 5-HT receptors are essentially, they're locked inside your entire brain, mostly in the visual cortex, back here. That's where we sort of have the final representation of visual information. And this could be something that's like seen or imagined. Our brain, it appears that it activates the same place, whether we think of something or whether we actually see something. You could think of like a blue car, and then you can see a blue car, and it looks the same in the visual cortex. Why that is? I mean, we don't really know. We have theories, but it's as if your brain can't discern the difference between reality and something that's imagined or tripped. And also, there's a lot of these receptors in the thalamus, which is the center area of the brain. Well, probably like right here, maybe. There's actually two. But that is an interesting area in the brain. Let me just go over that, actually. So the thalamus is essentially a processing center where everything we see, we hear, we touch, every single sensory experience is processed right here in the thalamus. And essentially imagine it as a shipping center. Your eyes see something, your ears see something, and then it goes down eventually to the thalamus right here. And then it goes to the visual cortex right here. And this is the retinal fugal pathway. This is a pathway that I explored and researched. This is how we see everything. Every single thing that we see is processed through the retinal fugal pathway. And it's a pretty interesting one, guys. But the LGN is right here. And that area in the thalamus is a very particular area. It's really where every single thing, every visual thing is processed. Everything, every single thing. And the thing about this is that The thing about this is that the thalamus and the visual cortex, they're always talking to each other. The thalamus essentially brings things to the visual cortex. And the visual cortex checks out if it's an actual thing, and then it does this dance of talking to each other, thalamus, visual cortex. Every single day of your entire life, it's always talking. It's talking right now. It's trying to assume things, trying to predict things, trying to see things. And it's always being redundantly checked, whether you're tripping or whether you aren't tripping. This is called predictive processing. And yes, it's a pretty wild concept, but so far it's the biggest theory in science, in brain science. Essentially, we predict what we see before we even see it, which is how things are. I mean, we predict things before we even understand it's actually there. Like, why is that? Well, the brain is a pretty efficient engine. It really takes energy. It tries to use the least energy possible. And the reason being is that it doesn't want to use a lot of energy. You want to keep your body cool. You want to keep your brain cool. You want your brain to sort of have enough space to, when it actually has to do big processing things, it can actually do it. So, for example, like, you have a great understanding of physics. All of you guys, you understand that this is a table. If I do this, this is going to fall down. This wall is sort of a hard thing. This table is a hard thing. I'm a human being, So your brain doesn't have to actually confirm every single thing. You understand that this wall isn't going to turn into a huge ocean, or this table's not going to turn into candy corn or something, Or that my beanie isn't going to fly off my head. You don't have to actually check this every single time. So your brain makes assumptions. It predicts that, this is going to be here. So we don't have to look at this every single time. The lights are going to be the same, all this stuff. And it does a really good job at this. Really, really good job. You should give thanks to your brain for doing this. It's a really, really good thing it does. And actually, 60 to 80% of your brain actually goes to just cleaning up things in your brain. Sort of cleaning up things, making sure things are tidy, neat, and clean. Only about 1% of your brain is there for making sudden changes to your environment. Let's say, for example, you're walking in a forest and there's a tiger that jumps out. That's a sudden cue that you have to respond to. And when things like that happen, it's a pretty bizarre thing happens. You actually respond to something before you even see it. Before it goes down that huge pathway that we had, it actually, your body responds to it because it's a fear-based thing. It's almost like a survival thing. So you respond to it, and then you process what that thing was. Just how the brain works. It's there to protect all of you, believe it or not. And actually, this process, it's pretty good, but there are problems that happen. It just happens, and your brain isn't perfect. But unfortunately, you have error corrections that happen constantly. So basically, this pathway, your brain sees this cup. It goes down through the retina, all the way to the thalamus. The thalamus makes a prediction, and it says that's actually a blue truck or something. Visual cortex sees it. It goes, no, I don't think so. Information goes back to your thalamus. It checks with that, and it's like, no, that's actually different. Checks again. Oh, it's a blue cup. It goes back to your visual cortex. That happens pretty often. And when it happens, it's so quick that you don't even recognize it. And it's a sort of dance that happens. It's a dance that happens where your thalamus and your cortex are talking to each other nonstop. And when that happens, your brain allocates visual cortex information. So your visual cortex is like a 6-layer pasta dish or something, or I don't know, some layered food that you eat. And I don't know. So the top layer of your visual cortex is based on basically like very basic things like shapes and like colors and just stuff that you sort of basically see, you know? And then you get down to the V6, you get down to very complex things like details of a person's face or directional things. And that's the very complex thing. So your thalamus is just sending things, okay, this is an orange blob, okay, that's V1, you know? This is a, you know, fast flying UFO, V6. I don't believe in UFOs, by the way. And I'll tell you later. But this happens all the time. All the time, guys. And this beautiful process happens throughout your entire life. And then one day, a Friday, Saturday, we take DMT. And that process is thrown out the door. It's my friend taking DMT at my place on my birthday, which is always birthdays. That was her first time taking DMT, and I got consent for this from her. And she had the trip of her entire life. She said it was the most extreme experience she's ever had in her entire life. And she's a pretty exciting person. So when we take DMT, this whole process of error correction, it gets kind of thrown out the way. And the reason being is that your thalamus and your visual cortex have those 5-HT2A receptors, and they're just sort of activating. They're sort of buzzing around. They're sort of like making things happen. They're very overcharged, over-energized. And this process of predictively checking your environment gets a little bit delayed, almost like it has like lag. It's called Thalamic gating, and it's the leading theory of why we actually trip. The thalamus can't quite get the information to your visual cortex, or perhaps it gets something like for V2, and it puts it to V6, or some V6 information to V1. Let's say, for example, you see a very basic orange blob, and it goes to the processing center or the V6 of a high processing area, where it's responsible for like very complex things. We have a very complex thing, and it goes to a very basic thing. It's almost like the equivalent of putting a PlayStation 2 disc in a PS5. It's old, it should be in PS2, or putting a PS5 disc in a PS2 or an Atari, if that's even possible. And that's what happens. Thalamic gating, and it's the leading theory of every single theory of tripping, whether we're talking about cortical, striatal, thalamic conditioning, we're talking about rebus, we're talking about CCC. They all deal with the thalamus and thalamic gating. So that's essentially why we trip. And of course, there's a lot more to this, guys. I could talk about this for days. This is a very basic breakdown of tripping. And if you want to know more about this, you can read my paper on this process, and I actually introduce a fourth theory of why we trip. And I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I'll give you guys a little teaser. So the retina is a very important thing. You know, it's our eyes, basically. And for the very longest time, we believed that this processing happens in the thalamus and the visual cortex only. But surprisingly enough, I believe I'm the first person to put this in a paper in this sort of context, is that our retina also has 5-HT receptors. And these receptors also are affected by substances like DMT and LSD. And that our eyes actually have its own predictive processing that happens. Almost like a little tiny brain. So perhaps when we trip, it begins in the eye, and the information is already sort of skewed. And then it goes to the thalamus and gets further skewed. Can I have some water? Can I just... Sorry, guys, I'm like dying. Can you just short up? Thank you so much, guys. And there's one more thing I want to say about this, and then we move on. Emily, you're amazing. Thank you so much. It was a pretty intense carnival. Just a little. So, some of you are like, well, actually, that doesn't make sense. Because when I trip, my eyes are closed. Right? Exactly. Why would the retina have any effect? Well, your eyes are closed, but you're looking at the back of your eyelids. And actually, I want you guys to just close your eyes right now and wave your hand in front of your eyes. You can see a little bit of this sort of discoloration of your eye. Almost like your hand is like a very low quality thing, right? It's called low quality visual information. And when we see things, our brains try to predict what it is. So if we have low quality visual information, it's harder to understand what that is. Like if you walk into a dark room and you see a coat rack with a hat, you're probably like, is that a person or is that a coat rack? You're trying to figure it out. That's what happens whenever you have low quality visual information. When you're tripping, your eyes you aren't seeing blackness. It's not darkness. It's the back of your eyelids. And it's called a German word called Eingrau. Is anyone German here? Eingrau? Eingraus? But it's what that's actually called. And I propose that we take this low quality visual information and we make something of it whenever our thalamus and visual cortex is highly activated. That's why. And once again, if you want to read this paper, I think it's good. And lots of good people in that paper. You could take a picture of it and read it later. But I mean, guys, and I do know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, Zeus, like, have you even tried this DMT laser light thing? And you even asked it earlier, like, have you tried it? And like, honestly, like, what do you guys want me to do? You guys want me to like, do DMT, look at a red laser light, and like take a video of it? Like that's like ridiculous. Why would I ever do that? I mean, I'm a scientist, right? Well, this was shot 2 weeks ago in Amsterdam. And you're the first people to see this. And that's a famous VR developer in the back, one of the best. He made Cosmic Sugar. And that's a giant hit of DMT. And here we go. Holding it in. And right there it hits me. And I made this relatively uncut, so you'll see this entire thing. So that you wouldn't say like, oh, Zeus cut it and he didn't take the DMT. You can see it all. You're the first to see it. And this is what I get in trouble for. This is copyrighted by Vice from a documentary that hasn't come out yet. Second hit, because I'm like, okay, let me try this again. Add this. I said, this is definitely DMT. Yeah.
Okay, back to this laser.
Okay. So there's definitely a depth. There's depth. Like, I understand what they mean. There's depth. I'm looking deeper into the wall for sure. Okay. At this point, out of my mind. Okay. I mean, this is better. This right here is amazing. This pad is amazing. Man, yeah, definitely. This is definitely DMT, you guys. But am I looking?
They also said maybe go from the side, not look directly into it, but move to the edge and look perpendicular to the line. Yeah. Oh, wow. I think it's better. I think, like, I understood what they were talking about, but I think it's better over here. Let me go for a third hit.
Why not? Right? My eyes are closed.
Now it's like, I don't even want to open my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I forget that I'm even there.
I think I just want to have this experience, and this is a fantastic trip right now. But okay, I'll open my eyes.
Oh, and at this point, I'm like, this
Okay,
is
so
light again.
like sort of depth. So I understand the depth. There's definitely stuff there. Like, there's stuff there. There's a lot of. So I understand the idea of depth. It's deeper. It seems deep.
That's all I can
The laser is deeper, for sure.
Say the word.
I see a lot of particles.
Yeah.
Like lots of particles. Oh my gosh! Like there's lots of particles. Trillions of particles. Trillions. And it's like an entire universe of these red particles, for sure. But like, no, I don't see the language. I see particles. I see depth. For sure. For sure. Let me try one more time. I mean, geez, how much?
We're good. Let's do it.
Not enough letters.
Yeah. I'm tripping hard right now.
I wish I could just close my eyes. Okay. I don't see the alien language. No, I don't see it. I'm looking for it. Right now. I'm looking for it. I honestly think that, like, if I'm going to be having a DMT experience, which is happening right now as I talk to you, like, I'm literally tripping hardcore right now. I would say that to have an experience where you're just looking at a light, it's almost like you're wasting an entire experience. Like there's other things you could be doing aside from looking at this laser light and trying to find this optical illusion to unlock some, secrets of the universe. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know, but I've tripped on a lot of stuff. This is DMT, and I don't see the universe being unraveled with this experience.
Yeah. So I did do it 4 times. and yeah, so I did this and I proclaimed that it was BS, like a bunch of things that I've done with DMT. And whenever I say something bad about DMT, guys, I get a lot of flack on the internet. People love to just say things as they do. And here's some tweets that I get from people that are very, very interesting. Did the DMT elves tell you to say this? Sounds like this guy has all the answers. Like, don't have all the answers. I don't know, but you sound like an interdimensional hater. Okay. As a vegan, your brain is missing essential nutrients and therefore is not able to fully comprehend the reality. Have you ever done DMT? A few other ones, and I'm going. Vegan diet riding your brain. Once again, another vegan diss. Like, take it easy. Third vegan diss. Got to get animal fats. Okay. And one final one. I'll find a good one for you guys. Okay, Zeus, I followed you for a long time, bro. Now you've landed out there and you sound bland. You sound like them. Lame. All right, I don't know. So yeah, that's what people think whenever I say something bad about DMT. Can't watch that again. So and then you're probably gonna say, oh well, Zeus, maybe you did this wrong. Maybe you did this wrong. You didn't look at the light long enough. Well, we actually went on the actual site to make sure we did every single thing possible. And some of these things are ridiculous. You have to have trash bags for cleaning the space. A positive state of mind, okay, I guess so. conduct the experiment only during the day. Why? I mean, you're inside. It's a laser light. It doesn't make any sense. A clean and comfortable environment. Well, I'm always clean. But here's a weird one. Dark chocolate to enhance the experience. Like, what does that even mean? So before we even did this, we actually called the person who invented this, who did the whole thing, and he walked us through the entire thing to make sure that we did everything accurately. And we did. We set everything up, and then he said something interesting. He said, Zeus, it actually works better if you've done amphetamines right before. I'm like, what's this about? So let me just say, guys, if all scientific discoveries are like universal, meaning you don't have to be black or white or a woman or a guy to experience these discoveries. They're universal. You can speak English, Swahili, Icelandic, and you can still have these discoveries. You can eat dark chocolate, not eat dark chocolate, and experience these discoveries. You can have a clean room, a dirty room. You can be angry, you can be sad, you can be frustrated, you can have ADHD, and it's not going to take away the fact that any grand discovery is universal. So let me say one other thing about this, and then we'll move on to the next part. You remember the video that we saw, the discovery? What did they say? They said, you will find out that the universe is the Matrix. Matrix is a fictional film. It's a fiction. Yeah, it's cool, it's fun, it's one of the greatest films ever created. But whenever you base reality on fiction, or you base reality on fictitious things like elves, then you already know something is sort of BS. Because reality came before fiction. It just exists. It exists. So imagine if the Matrix didn't exist. What would this person say? Would he have a basis to evaluate this experience on? Probably not. So once again, before we go on, this is a very important point. Whenever a person is basing reality on fiction, it is most likely BS.
Can I interject a little bit?
Please, yes, please.
He didn't say it's like the Matrix, or you find out it's the Matrix. He said you'll find out it's a simulation. You'll see code running like the Matrix.
Like the Matrix.
Yeah, but you'll see code running. It's like a visual reference. So he's making a reference to the movie.
Which
He's not saying it's like you're in the movie. You're in this story.
I believe he did say you will find out that the reality is the Matrix. He said it twice. He did say like. And the second time he said, you will find out that reality is the Matrix.
It's similar. I'm
Yeah.
entirely sure.
And also, no. That's a very good point. And I know this is about DMT, but let me get back. Let me just get quickly to this idea of simulation theory. All right, and because you're talking about that. So very quickly, simulation theory is the idea that all this is a giant simulation, giant game, or a giant simulation, and this is all fake or something, Okay. What's this theory based on? It's based on tech, right? If we didn't have computers, we wouldn't have simulation theory. Back in the day, they said, you know what? Reality is like a big clock. Everything is intertwined like a giant clock. The reason being, clocks were the biggest tech at the time. So that we base reality on the biggest possible tech at the time. And I believe that simulation theory follows the same pattern. In that it's based on tech because it's the most sophisticated thing, but in reality is far more complex than what we could even begin to imagine. So, but that's a good question, and we can even go back to that video and check it out if it's like or it is. Okay. So when we trip, there's this thing called pareidolia, which is you find significance to insignificant things. For example, if you trip on anything, you can look at a pattern, a carpet. This has probably happened to you guys. You look at a carpet, and the carpet's just sort of this like static of just random stuff. But when you're tripping, once again, your brain is trying to predict or assemble what it's actually seeing. So if you're looking at a red laser light that's like a bunch of particles, your brain will easily assemble things from these particles. And DMT is also known to have too far. Not far enough. And I'll get to it. So, and then also, you may be asking yourself, okay, why characters, language? Why always language? Why this language with the DMT experience? Well, the DMT experience also has this other attribute of people take it and they see entities and they're talking to people. They're talking to entities. It's always talking or seeing language. And this fantastic paper dropped in 2021 called The Entropic Tongue. And he found that language is greatly affected by LSD and other substances. Language, in the sense that you tend to essentially you take simple paths of language and you overcomplicate things with this single path. In the sense that you almost add characters and you add words to language. And I believe that this could also happen while we're on DMT. Sort of language cores are sort of firing and activating. And I want you guys to read this paper. This is a fantastic paper. Take a picture of it. One of the best out there. And I believe this could also contribute to the ability, the sort of language ability, the innate language ability of DMT. And also, DMT has very eidactic trips. And eidactic is a term for seeing things that feel realer than real. I'm sure if you've done DMT, you see pixels that are so fine, so magnificently, brilliantly clean, and the light's so beautiful that it looks real, more real than real. Hyper-realism, hyper-complexity. So perhaps when we look at red laser lights, red particles in these lights, this eidactic ability increases. And we take these fine images that are already super fine, and we add even finer particles to it. And these finer particles perhaps looks like other LED things that we've seen in our life, like watches, or clocks, or screens. And why is that? Well, let me get to this guy, this fantastic guy. Do you guys know who this is? Terrence McKenna. This guy is a brilliant guy. Rest in peace. He definitely pushed me to DMT research. I've listened to all of his lectures. They've all been fantastic, every single one of them. But Terrence McKenna, he really brought DMT to the forefront, undoubtedly. But he always used to say things like, when you do DMT, you will see transforming machine elves, or you'll see these little beings, and they'll talk to you. They'll talk to you, and you'll see this, and you'll see these things, and they'll talk to you, and then they'll just sort of fade away. And not everyone, but most people that have done DMT have been inspired by Terrence McKenna. They heard Terrence McKenna. People have talked to them, and they've told them things from Terrence McKenna. So in science, there's a thing called expectancy effect, where if you expect something to happen, it'll probably happen. Insofar as that, the entire field has even put a a sort of tag to this process. It's a set your intentions. It's what it's called. Before a trip, you want to set your intentions. You want to sort of prime yourself to have a certain trip. So this expectancy effect can also take play while we're on DMT. Perhaps you'll see elves, or if there's a red laser light and people are like, you're going to see this light, you're going to see this, you're going to see this, you're going to see this, you're going to see this. Perhaps you'll see it.
But wait, then
Yes.
I have a question. Did you see the elves?
When I took DMT, yeah.
And they did talk to you.
Yeah. And I have a theory as to why that is. If we have enough time, I'll go into the sigma receptor agonism. It's a paper that I'm writing right now. It's not done yet, but it explores a potential theory as to why those elves happen. Maybe we'll have time for it. It'll take about 5 minutes. But let me finish this presentation, and then we'll get into that. Why the elves? Why these elves that are talking? I mean, I have seen the elves. I've seen other weird things I can't even explain. But they're all talking to me. And has anyone read this book? Has anyone heard of the scientist? I mean, please. I mean, I have a Carl Sagan tattoo right on my leg right here, guys. This book changed my entire perception on science and reality. Reality first, science second. The Demon Haunted the World. I think this is the best book I've ever read in my entire life. And Carl Sagan breaks down why people tend to believe in BS. He also tells you how to discern things that are possibly BS. And it's fantastic. It's called the baloney detector. I guess he couldn't say BS in his book, but the baloney detector. And I send this to people that love to believe extraordinary things. And they read it, and some of them change their thought processes. Others tend to believe what they want to believe. They discount everything in the book. They're like, I know more about this than Carl Sagan. Get out of here. Like, what? Have you read Cosmos? But it's fine. It's cool. I let people be and believe whatever they want to be. But if you can, read this book to go deeper in this subject. And one last thing before we wrap up is that, you have, okay, so let's say, for example, these elves. All right, let's get into the elves thing, right? First off, not every time do I take DMT I get elves. It happens rarely. But let's say, for example, you take DMT and you have an elf. We all have trips of elves or beings or entities. Let's say that happens, all right? I don't think it does happen, but let's just say it is, all right? Are we going to some hyperspace, some dimensional reality in which we all exist in a shared space? Or is it that despite our great gender differences, cultural differences, financial differences, that if we take the same substance and we all have relatively the same brains in our head, we're all human beings, we have relatively the same machinery in our head, that if you take the same substance, it perhaps elicits a very similar trip, a similar experience. How like the taste of cake is sweet to a person in India or Indiana or Amsterdam.
Or the people that made it.
Or
the person that made it.
Or the person that made it. Exactly. So with that said, it's important to believe wild stuff or have a focus to look at interesting things. But guys, leave your brains open, leave your minds open, but not too open where your brain just falls on the floor. And with that, I want to give it thanks to my supervisors. We have Kim Kuipers, Jan Raymakers, and Bettina Sorger. I cannot believe I research with these people every single day. They're legends, and I appreciate them. And they also believe that this is all BS. And with that said, guys, that's the end of my presentation. Follow me on these platforms: X, Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter. Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and of course my website, tipado.com. Currently, it's down, but it'll be up tomorrow. So wait and go for it. Massive thanks to LRG and Subpack, and also SciDAO, which is a fantastic organization that I also do work for. And guys, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys.